Hello, welcome to Business Corner. We're here with Fabienne Raphaël. Fabienne is an online business strategist. She's a professional speaker and she's a podcaster. Fabienne helps women entrepreneurs capitalize on their expertise and get them on their way to their first 1K and beyond with their online businesses. Welcome, Fabienne.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. Now, we had a little powwow before this.
Yes.
We talked about that we wanted to talk to people about how they could get started in business, just sharing their experiences and helping other people. So Can you tell me a little bit about, do you do that? Like, is that how you do your business, or do you teach people how to do that?
I teach people how to do that, and I do that myself too, right? So the thing is, most of people, when they start their business, especially when they're not aware of the online world at all, they think they always have to trade their time to get the money. So let's say if they have like a consulting business, they think that they have to go and see the client and then stay there and work for this many hours to get paid after that. So it's getting paid for what you're doing as working in several hours, for example. The thing is, with the online opportunities, or with the online, the business that you could build online, the thing is, you could be in front of several people. So you teach once and then you get paid several times. So the thing about trading the time for money, you reach more people working a little bit less. But when I say that, I'm not meaning that as soon as you start your online business, you'll just work 1 hour and then get paid as if you work like 10 or 15 hours. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that if you want really to expand your possibilities and start to more like owning your life and your time and then your finances, then if you crack the code of, just going online and start those conversations, or start seeing what your audience needs and start teaching online, then another possibility, like a lot of possibilities can come your way, and you will really enjoy that type of lifestyle, and it will make you think differently than I always have to put time and energy and, like going to get the clients and all that stuff to get my money. But it's not always like that.
So did you start out, are people doing this into Facebook groups? I know we've talked with some people on Business Corner before who are going into Facebook groups and they're sharing their expertise. And that's one of the ways that people are making money. And starting a business without having websites and things like that. Are there other ways that you can do that?
I would say that, of course, Facebook is a platform where there's so many people there. Not only people use Facebook like personally, but there's a lot of people that use Facebook for business. But it's not only on Facebook that you can find groups. I mean, there are groups on LinkedIn, there are groups on Reddit, there are groups on some industries have their own private forums. So it's just a matter of, having a great research on Google, or from the connections that you might get through Facebook, through LinkedIn. Someone can tell you about, hey, I'm part of this group and maybe you should join and stuff like that. But I would say something that has nothing to do with the online though. It could also be just going to a live event or to a networking event locally. Sometimes the people that you meet there, if they are in your industry or if they are your potential client, could open you doors to other things. They could tell you, I'm part of this group, or I'm part of this organization, and then it opens you to, a better reach, a bigger reach, and you could share your expertise with these people. What people don't necessarily understand at first is that you don't necessarily have to throw your business card at someone or force them to do business with you. People are more aware of seeing, okay, so what can I learn from you, or how you can help me, instead of just telling me or selling me something. at the first time that you meet me, for example. So people sometimes they think they just,
because I think that really turns people off, is this idea that like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have to kind of hustle, and that's like really kind of manipulative and gross. And also, like, I think a lot of people who are yoga teachers and healing professionals, the people that do that kind of thing, they're not the people who are attracted to my group. So, I think if there's, that's a concern. So what is this that people can do other than that?
Hustling.
Throwing down their business card and like, hey.
I used to believe in hustling, and I know that a lot of people still do, because they think that's the only way they can sell, or that's the only way they can convince people. But I think that as soon as you are on the convincing side, then you're like somewhere where you're kind of forcing someone to do something that they're not necessarily comfortable of doing. So I would say that us hustling is not necessary. Probably the best sales that you might do is someone come to you and they know about you. They know what you have as an expertise. They've heard you. They've seen you somewhere, or they see how much value that you can bring to their world, or how you can solve their problem. And then they will come to you and tell you and ask you to do business with you. Or if you're aware of that person and you've been helping that person or having a conversation with that person, and then at a certain point, the person can ask you, well, can you help me? And then you go forward with what you can do with that person. And if it's a great fit, most of the time people won't ask for the price. They'll just say, when can we start? Because they don't care, because they know about you, they know what you can do for them, and they know you can solve their problem. So basically, it will be not a matter of price, but it will be, are you available to start like next week or next month or whatever?
It sounds like what you're saying is that, it's about finding people who are a good fit for you. And when you have that conversation and you kind of, see like, oh, we're clicking, we're connecting, that people are going to naturally seek you out. It's not going to be like some sort of gross sale. It's like, oh, wow, you really, now that I know what you do, like, I'm really interested in that.
Yeah, the thing is you've got to ask more questions than you have to talk. Let's say if it's the first time that we meet, Suzanne, and we're at a networking event, well, I can't pitch you what I'm doing, or I can't give you value if I have no clue, first of all, what you're doing. What are your concerns right now? Where are you at in your business? Is there any problem? Do you have any problem in this area? Or you get a lot of information by listening first. And then after you've listened to that person, only if that person is a target client or a potential client, a prospect, then you could craft what you answer to that person to show that person that, hey, you might be able to help that person. But then again, when it's the first time, you can't just throw the sale at the person either. Because most of the time, you bring value first, and then they will contact you again if they need it. Or, well, if you have to follow up all the time, then you know that the person is not interested into you or into your services. Like, how many times did it happen that you had, let's say, a call, and then you were, let's say you stated your offer, and the person said, well, I'm going to think about it. Like, most of the time when they think about it, it's just a polite way to say, no, I'm not interested.
No. But I've had people even that, like, for example, there's a person in our group who he helped me with a problem. And I was like, I would really like to work with you because you know what I want to know. And, like, let's just open up a Zoom chat and I'll pay you some money and you can teach me what, it wasn't, all he did was just be a nice person to me, and help me out. He didn't come in to sell. He just actually was a genuinely nice person who was genuinely helping me. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, hey, like, I'm seeking somebody who is like a really helpful, nice person who will help me with my problem.
Yes.
And you came forward and you did this so kindly for me. You're the person I want to work with. You know, like I wouldn't really, I felt very comfortable with him. I already knew who he was. And I also already knew that he was a generous person who, you know, wanted to do those things. I mean, I think that when you start doing it and it's part of your business, you just start to get more comfortable with reaching out to people.
And then you get more comfortable about like explaining what your expertise is or how to talk to people. And you were asking, I'll go back to one of the first questions you asked. You said, well, a lot of people try to start connecting with people through Facebook groups and do business there. But there's also, you know, I've been podcasting for like 3 years today. It's my podcast birthday today. I interviewed...
Anniversary.
Sorry?
Your podcast anniversary.
Yay! Yeah, that's it. Podcast anniversary. I love that. Anyways, so I've interviewed over 250 entrepreneurs from all around the world, and one of the best things about podcasting is how it allows you to expand your reach. So as an expert, you could go and look for these podcasts that are towards your target client or the people that you could serve, and being featured on an interview because you're in front of someone else's audience. And most of the time, if you make your research properly and you see that it's a podcast that's been there for a while, that is recognized, that has an audience and all of that, well, it gives you the opportunity to share your message and expertise in front of other people. And then these people are aware of you and they're like, oh, I didn't know Suzanne, and oh, she's so good at what she's doing and I want to know more about her, right? So I'll go on her website and check what she's doing and I'll be on her list and see what's up. And at a certain point, when that person needs something and it has to do with your expertise, then they might think of you because they heard you on the podcast, which is good for your credibility, authority, and trust. And then, well, when they're ready to buy, they just go and buy from you. And that's free. And that's easy. Well, I wouldn't say it's easy to do because it takes a little bit of courage, and especially for people that are shy.
To be on camera, a little bit of skill to actually speak in an articulate way. A lot of people kind of have that fantasy of like, oh, I'm going to have this audience, they're going to be listening to me. And then when it actually happens, it's like, oh, wow, like that's harder than I thought it was going to be. Like the words just didn't flow like honey out of my mouth.
But the thing is, when you're podcasting or when you're doing a video like we're doing now, the thing is you have to focus on talking to one person. That's it. If you try to imagine, okay, how many people are listening or how many people will see that video or how do I look, you just kill it. But then, of course, with practice, it comes more naturally and then you become more fluid and you move. You're not like just like this and not doing any move because you're so shy and stuff. And then it comes more naturally and people learn to know you better and you become more comfortable, and of course business comes better this way. Yeah.
And this is also part of the reason I have another video chat session that's called Meet a Yogi, and it's for the people in sadhana, and it's really one of the big reasons I have it is so that people can have that experience of getting on camera for the first time, and it's a totally safe, like we can even just close it, like we may not even put that up on YouTube, so that people just know, like, look, you're in front of friends, there might be 2 or 3 people watching, you know, like this is the safest space and you can have that first awkward experience. So there's ways to do it. And then the other thing also, that when you were talking about finding people who have that audience and stuff, I knew that there might be people who want to start up a podcast or a Facebook group or something where they do that and they're thinking, oh, nobody will come and talk to me because they want a big audience. But I found that that isn't true, that there are people who they just like my audience and they don't care that it's not necessarily a big audience yet because they want to, you know, they're like, I like what you're doing.
These people are called like, they talk about micro-influencers. You know, we talk a lot about like influencers, which are people that have huge followings and on social media, and when they say something, people listen and they drive sales, because when they say, I bought, let's say, a Mac as a computer, then a lot of people are like, well, if he did it or if she did it, well, I need to do it too, because what she says is like gold, whatever. But there are other influencers that are micro influencers, and those are people with a small following, not necessarily like huge. It could be a few hundreds of people, or it could be like 50 people, but these 50, they are so engaged that whatever that person says, or they're so fond of that person that whatever they say, well, they listen to it, or they have a high respect of this person. So yes, I agree with you, Suzanne. It doesn't mean that because someone doesn't have a big audience that your message will not go through and you can't have clients out of that audience, because it's all a matter of who gets involved and who engages in that community. Yeah, that's very important.
Yeah, the quality of them. We had talked that we wanted to talk a little bit about how you just start making money and get to that first $1,000. This is your latest. You know, I encourage people to go to your site and read your bio, because you're pretty fascinating. You're like, it's like, what? You've done so many interesting things. And
yeah, I
know. I know your sort of latest thing is getting to the 1K. And first of all, I'd like to know why this is now where you're at now. Why are you talking about this now?
I'm talking about this because I've been online for a while, and my podcast name is about to change to 1K and beyond. And it used to be Marketing to Crush Your Competitors. And along the way with my podcast, well, of course, I had a lot of great relationships, and it brought me a lot of opportunities. But then again, having the feedback from my audience, or really understanding more what they're looking for, or who was there and what they strongly needed, well, it was talking more to them, that name, than the name that I had before. So that's why I made that shift, and I went to 1K and beyond.
The previous name wasn't really communicating to your audience who you were. It just wasn't speaking to the people that you found. Right?
I would say it was doing it at a certain point, but again, when you get in business and when you evolve as a person, or when you start working with people and the opportunities that you get and all that stuff, I realized that it was not something that fit with me anymore. It's not that it never did, because if it didn't, well, why did I choose that name, and why did I go for like 3 years with that name? You understand what I mean?
It's fascinating to me, as I've been talking with entrepreneurs, that a lot of people, they like really shift their businesses over time, rather than, because you always think like, okay, I have to establish a brand and I have to stick with it. And that's kind of like a big corporate strategy. But when I'm talking to entrepreneurs, many of them are like, well, I did this for 6 months and then I shifted and did something else.
The thing I would answer that is you change with time, and you experience stuff, you work with people, you see who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with. You get opportunities. There are some you really enjoy, and there are some you're like, maybe I won't do this anymore, and stuff like that. And then, of course, I get more and more of these conversations with people, with clients, with people I meet on live events, or when I have a speaking gig, like when I get the feedback and all that stuff. So this is why whenever you start something, it's not because you started today with this name and this mission that in 10 years it's going to be exactly the same. Because we are human beings, and we are actually changing sometimes. And when it doesn't fit with you, then what happens is that people feel it at a certain point. So if you're not comfortable with your message, or you're not comfortable with your name anymore, or what your mission was supposed to be, then you might as well shift that so it will be more congruent with who you are. and then your message will go through better and you will be able to attract people better. And that's what I realized along the way. Like, this message really relates to a lot of people, and I'm attracting the people I want to attract with that kind of message too. And that's the people I want to help. So that's exactly why I did that shift, or else I would not have done it. If I felt that everything was fine, then I would not have done it. But it's been a few months I've been thinking about this, and I was like, well, will I go on again with this name and all that stuff? So now I still have to figure out with the podcast, if I keep the same feed and then I just change the name, or I just close that one and start a brand new one. I don't know yet what I'm going to do, but I keep my listeners up to date. I told them frankly, I was like, well, this is going to change and we'll see what happens, but I'll let you know, of course.
You could probably do a little bit of both, where for X number of months you have it and then you kind of shift it, and archive the old one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about getting to that 1K.
Okay.
And we'll, wrap up after that. So, like, how do you do that? I mean, that seems really, I love the idea of getting to 1K because, it seems like if you could get to that, then you sort of feel like you had gotten over that initial hump.
First of all, I think that a lot of people think that first, it's not that they need their website and they need to have everything ready and their design, the logo and everything. But first of all, what?
The fun parts.
Yeah, the fun parts. But then first of all, it costs money, right? When you want to invest into building a great and nice website, it costs a few $1,000s. Your logo, same thing, like everything costs money. And then you haven't experienced yet if you would like to do that or if you feel comfortable doing this, right? So what if you invest all that money and then you realize this is not the way you want to go, or this is not the business you thought it was going to be, or you're not born to be an entrepreneur or anything. So I really advise to have conversations. We spoke about the Facebook group. We spoke about several communities that you could join and start talking to your potential clients. But then before that, even before that, you have to realize, well, okay, what am I an expert at? What people are saying about me that I'm doing so much better than anybody else that people come to me when it has to do with this expertise or whatever. So you have to make sure that, okay, so this is my expertise, and you have to make sure also about the way that you could transmit your message to your target audience. Because sometimes people get stuck into, I'm in love with what I'm doing, and I just talk about myself and about my product, about my service, but they don't have in mind who they're serving and what they're looking for. So your message always has to be result-oriented, and the person has to understand what's in it for me when they talk to you. They don't want to know that you have 25 years of experience and your credentials, that you've been to university and you've done that yoga retreat for 10 years, and they don't want to know about that. What they want to know is that, okay, can you help me get rid of that stress that I have every day? Or can you help me finally get rid of my anxiety by showing me the right techniques? Can you tell me something that I could do every day for like 5 minutes, and then all my problems, I could forget about all my problems and stuff like that. So you always have to think about how you communicate with your target audience. And as soon as you, go ahead.
I think for people who are just getting started, that's really the trick, is to start talking to people, because you honestly don't know what they want from you. And you have to like start asking people and talking to people and sharing your knowledge and be like, well, what did you like that I was telling you about? Because you would be surprised. A lot of people, like for me, like I've done yoga so many years, and it's like, people, they're not ready for a lot of the stuff where I'm at. They're like, I want to like get started, and like I just want to get unstressed out.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not like, oh, I want to be like major yogi and study this for the rest of my life.
Exactly. And then sometimes we have this crazy idea, or you're like, oh, I know, this this is what I'm going to offer, this is who I'm going to serve, or this is what I'm going to do. And then you start having those conversations and you're completely like out of it. Like you realize that what you thought your target clients needed was not at all what you thought. It's completely something else, or it's something related, but it's more, you have more details about it, and now you know where to go. So as soon as you have these conversations and be clear about what they're looking for and what problems they're looking to solve, if you are that person that can help them solve that problem, well, good for you and good for them, right? Because you will probably click and you will probably have that opportunity to work with that person and offer your product or offer your service. And then as soon as you have that one person, then you have a proof of concept. You're like, hey, okay, I have my first client here and she needed my help. I helped her. I charge her whatever amount per month or whatever the program is that you have to offer. And then, well, next time or the next one is going to be like, I wouldn't say like so much easier to get, but I mean, maybe a little bit easier because the first one is like the big one, right? And then after that, well, you get the third one and then the fourth one until you get to that $1,000. But the thing is, depending on what you're offering to your first client, well, it could be a plan or a training that you go for like 6 months and you charge that $1,000 and you get it already with the first client. But then it could be just like, okay, let's say that your entry level is something at $197 and you just need to sell 5 of these and you're already at your $1,000. See, I always say it's better to focus, like to get to that first K first, because it could be very, very scary for someone starting, let's say, their online business or their online visibility or exposure, and then thinking about the $1 million first forever. For example, like it's always better to start with the baby steps, and then as soon as you do that and you get to that one for 2, 3, 4, 5 clients, and then 10 and 20, then you realize that, hey, okay, I'm using always the same process. Of course, I sophisticate a little bit my business model and I build my funnels and all that stuff. But I mean, at least you've been in the game, you've spoken to people, you know exactly what they want, and you are progressing in the right direction.
That's great. Like this is exactly where I think people are, is just this idea of like, let's just try like a little bit. Like, let's just go out, meet some people, figure out what they want from me, and then try to sell like one person one $200, mentoring session, or one $200, private sessions where they pay upfront for 6 of them. So, something like that. Like you can make it just something that you can visualize in your mind, and then it's like, okay, I need to sell 5 of those to get to 1,000, or I need to just, maybe find one person who wants to really seriously invest in something. And then, like I love that. I think it's something that everybody can do, and they can see that they don't need a website for that. That just go out and find 1 or 2 people that they could just ask for a friend, like who's interested in this, and see if they can, pick up the phone and make some calls.
Because as soon as you trust the person, or they can solve your problem, you don't need to check their website necessarily. Or if you had that conversation and the trust is built and you're sure that your problem will be solved, I mean, no, the person doesn't necessarily need a website, a logo, whatever, like all that stuff.
When I was a website designer, I actually didn't have, I think I had a website, but it was just terrible. And it was kind of funny because you would think as a website designer, I should have had the most polished website designer. But the thing was, nobody cared about my website. They cared about their website.
Yeah.
I got all my business from referrals.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people wanted websites. So,
yeah.
It was like people would say, oh, so-and-so did, you did so-and-so's website, and they would get the number, and that would be how I got my business. And
you said something very interesting here, Suzanne, because you said a lot of your business came from referrals. And that's the key thing when you get that first client. Oh my God. Like you should cherish that client as if they're your own family and stuff. because the more you give value and the more you over deliver, the more that person will be loyal to you like forever and ever. And they will talk about you and do free marketing, because we know that marketing can be very expensive if you start spending in advertising and all that stuff. But when you have these clients that are extremely satisfied with what you offered as a service, they just talk about you all the time, and there's nothing anybody can say wrong about you, because they will be in front of you and say, hey, I've been working with Suzanne and I know that she's like that and I know that she's competent. So if you need that kind of service, go to her because I've been there and whatever. So you get great testimonials. Right. So you have the chance when you're starting to really have a deeper connection with your clients, and that's gold again, because it helps you build your message, it helps you build your products, it helps you build other services that your target market needs. So these first clients, they're the key.
Well, thank you so much, Fabienne. I really appreciate, first of all, getting to know you better. You know, like, it's just great to spend this time with you, and I appreciate it. And also, I want you to tell us how we can find you online. So you mentioned you have a podcast. Where do we go now to get that?
Well, my podcast website is marketingtocrushyourcompetitorspodcast.com. I know it's long, but it's easy to remember. But I really invite you, if you want to get to that first $1,000 online and beyond, to go on 1kandbeyond.com. So there's a free guide that helps you build profitable online courses. So as I was saying at the beginning of the interview, sometimes people want to start online, but they don't know how to do it, or they might have an idea and don't know if it's worth it to go with that idea, or if they should try something else. Well, I just share with you kind of like a blueprint to start with your online course. So yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Fabienne. Thank you for coming on tonight. I hope you have a great evening, and I look forward to talking to you again. Oh, thanks.
All right. Thank you, Suzanne. Bye.
I'm recording now.